I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm rolling and I am streaming.
Okay. Can we get a single for Cole, please?
Going down the line, you're going Bruce, Taylor,
No.
Matt for introductions.
No, he's going. Yeah, for introductions, yes.
Copy. Yep.
So Cole, just go down the line for introductions.
You got it.
Bruce, Taylor, Matt. Thanks, Kevin. All right, everybody, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the time has come once again. Yes, this is Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. I'm your de facto conductor for the next 30 minutes. I go by the name of Cole. Right in time now to get those introductions out of the way because the panelists, they have arrived. Now, he's covered baseball in the city of Chicago for 30 plus years. You hear him over on 670 The Score. That's Bruce Levine. Bruce, thanks for joining us today. And once this season finally gets underway, she will be the very first Marquee Sports Network sideline reporter. She was with the Colorado Rockies for a pair of seasons. It's Taylor McGregor. And also from The Score, it's the man on the end. It's Matt Spiegel. Matt, as always, the pleasure is all ours. Now, guys, we all know what came down yesterday, what we heard in the baseball world. Of course, it's still buzzing about reports that players could potentially live in isolation once the season does get underway. Now, that's a season that could begin as early as next month, and it could do so in front of no fans, and it would also do so in the state of Arizona. Now, Red Sox ace Chris Sale, he had this to say. He said, I don't know if I could look at my kids just through a screen for 4 or 5 months. The same thing goes for my wife. Not being able to be around her, that's a long time, but people have done it in harsh scenarios, I guess. Now, Mark DeRosa, he was on Cubs 360 yesterday, and he shared his opinion. Let's listen up. All right, guys, we heard what D-Row had to say, so let's put ourselves in the shoes of the players. How challenging, Taylor, would it be to play a season in front of no fans, no friends, and no family?
Well, it's going to be incredibly difficult, but I think when you look at the state of where baseball is at, everything, no matter what gets presented on the table, it's not something that we would ideally have liked to have seen, right? I mean, we wanted to see a full 162 game schedule started on March 26th, but that is not the case. And so now it just comes down to seeing, okay, here's what's happening in our country. How much am I willing to compromise to get back baseball as we would have, or get baseball in 2020 to some extent, because the ramifications of not having a season at all are tremendous. And so I want to see baseball played in some capacity. And of course, when this news came out, I think it's human nature to kind of say, well, how would this impact me? And as a reporter, I'm thinking, okay, so 6 feet rule is still intact. So how am I supposed to interview players? And generally, I sit in the TV well or the camera well, which is right next to a camera guy and some photographers. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. And then not to mention, I know there was some reports of guys sitting 6 feet away from each other in the stands. I just don't know how that would all work out. But I am with Mark DeRosa that, hey, we all need to kind of come together and make baseball happen. So whatever way that's going to be, I'm all for it. I just don't know exactly how it's all going to fit together at this point.
I got to say, just reading the report makes your heart jump a little bit with excitement. That's how starved I am for baseball. And I want you, Taylor, thinking about stuff like that. The fact that owners and the Players Association are showing the organization, the creativity, and the, dare I say, camaraderie to discuss all these things and get down to little details like that and entertain this possibility is heartwarming. Maybe I'm just starved for some positivity, and the idea of baseball is making my heart go pitter patter. But really, I'm impressed at the tenor of the conversation and the way that things are going. And I hope it's possible. It sure seems implausible scientifically. But for every little question that I came up with, at least in Passan's article, they had thought about it. They had thought about this potential hurdle, that potential hurdle. Then MLB, with their statement, kind of poured some cold water on the whole thing and said they have approval from no one. They haven't asked for approval from anybody. But again, I love that they're discussing it, and we've even gotten this far.
It's great to think about baseball coming back. It makes everybody have a warm feeling come over them. The realistic part of guys being isolated with the other guys for 4.5 months, I don't buy it. You know, D-Rose retired. I don't think he's going to be having to worry about being with his teammates 24 hours a day for 4.5 months. You're going to have a lot of real close teammates. I'll tell you that much. They're going to be a very closely knit group. I'm hoping they come up with a better solution than that, because isolating from families just doesn't make an awful lot of sense for 4.5 months. But as Matt said, and as Taylor said, that they're talking about it, that they have models that they're interested in, that they're going to try to get baseball back as soon as possible. We all like hearing that.
Now, Bruce, one of the things that was proposed was, of course, the manager and the coaching staff being in the stands 6 feet apart. But when it comes to streamlining a game plan, how clunky could things get if the skipper is in the stands and he needs to relay a message to a pitcher on the mound, or say even an outfielder out there in left field?
Yeah, the whole thing is, for conjecture, and it's up in the air right now. Getting signals and everything else would be difficult. But, we've even heard talk about allowing electronics to be involved and being able to have players listen to what their manager or coach needs to say. For everybody, that's a possibility. Also, the electronic umpires, with a home plate electronic umpire, so that there's nobody hovering over a batter and a hitter at that point. Also makes a lot of sense, and it's experimental in the sense that that's something people want to look at for baseball for years to come. So a lot of different situations could occur. Again, feeling good about the fact that we're talking about maybe baseball in May, June, July, sometime soon.
Absolutely. Good. I think the silver lining for me was, as you guys both mentioned, the fact that this is forcing the players and the owners to work together. And I'm hopeful that that relationship and what they're doing will carry on. Bruce, you mentioned the technology, and you also have to consider replay, because these spring training facilities are not up to date with what they need to do replay. So does that mean we go back to not having that? I mean, there are a lot of questions when it comes to technology, what could be out in the open if all of this were to happen. So certainly a lot that they have to work upon, but I couldn't agree more of just the thought of having baseball back, and like it was published in several of the articles, having baseball kind of be the standard for Americans, saying, hey, we're going to get through this. Here's a first step in the right direction, and have baseball players kind of be that hope for the entire country when we need it in a time like this.
In terms of the quality of the game and the quality of the product, I like that they're sneaking a few things in, whether they actually have to or not. Electronic strike zones to put the ump 6 feet away, that seems like an opportunity. No mound visits, that's a good one for pace of play as well as social distancing. I've been thinking about whether this would be a good watch right here on Marquee, right? These games with no fans, we'd be fascinated by it, but interesting that one of the most respected voices for objective love of the game, Fay Vincent, the former commissioner, had said he doesn't like the way that it would be presented, that he thinks it might not present the game in its best light to see it with no fans. I think people at home would be so starved for action and would see the games in a different way. These games would be very memorable, and I think would be overall good for the game. That's getting way ahead of ourselves, but it's interesting to think about that level of it for me.
It does have a nice ring to it. And one thing is for sure, the pursuit of some of those timeless records when it comes to baseball, well, that's being put on hold along with everyday life. And we all know, and a lot of people, they still think that Hank Aaron is the true home run king. So on the 46th anniversary of Henry Aaron breaking George Herman Ruth, you know him as the Babe's home run record, we will discuss, will number 44's record ever be broken? That and much, much more right here next on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Stay tuned.
Good job, you guys. Nice work. Good job there, Taylor. Thank you. All right, Taylor, don't remember this segment. You're going to have your video that you're referencing, okay? We're not going to see it, but just remember that.
Great.
Hold on a second, guys. Hey, Cole, can I just get you to revoice the A block tees, please?
How so?
Hey, Kevin, just revoice it. There were some issues on our end. Just do a straight read. Just revoice the tees. Hey, Kevin, can you give me a single while he revoices this? Thank you. Go ahead. 3, 2, 1.
All right, gang. Now, Hank Aaron, he's the real home run king to some. So, on the 46th anniversary of Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's record, we'll discuss, will number 44's mark ever be surpassed? More Cubs 360. That's coming your way next, right here. Stay put.
Thanks, Cole.
Who's got the salmon shirt now, Cole?
I was thinking that as I put it on today.
Bruce, you got the top button swag working? I've done that. It's really my look. So.
Yeah, I
Guys,
stole it.
Going with the Bubba Watson.
Mm-hmm.
I found this look in 1989, and I've never left it.
Same thing with the shirt.
Shots fired.
B block segment here. We're going to talk about the Hank Aaron's record. Just a topic of, will that ever be broken? Did you guys just hear that playback?
Hey, Kevin, can you please stop that recording just so we can get that reread?
Great.
So we can get that
It is stopped.
I just heard that, yeah. Stopping a recording so we can get a reread.
All right, all good, you guys. So B block here. We're going to talk about the record. Let's go to Bruce first. Then we'll go Matt, and then we're going to go Taylor. Taylor's going to reference some video, a picture that she took, I think, last year when she was in Milwaukee. We're not going to have it for the sake of this taping, but just to know it's there, and then we're going to use it in post and cover it, so no one be freaked out by that. But we'll go Bruce first, we'll go Matt, and then we'll go Taylor for this topic. Cole, are you good with the traffic? So it's the end bump of the Hank Aaron's 715th home run. Then we'll show the full screen, and then you're going to tee up your Miller Lite hot take, and then you're going right to or take of the day, and then you're going right to Bruce off of that.
Gotcha.
Okay. Kevin, can you please give me a single? Thank you. You ready, Cole?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Now, Hank Aaron, he passed Babe Ruth to become number one on the all-time home run list, and he did so 46 years ago today. Now, Barry Bonds eventually passed Henry Aaron, so what do? We stacked them up with their career home runs and 162 game averages against some of the fiercest sluggers in the game today. Now, 40-year-old Albert Pujols.
Hey, just real quick, Cole, just coming out of that, you would have been reacting to that home run. You know what I mean? You would have just saw it. It was an in bump coming in. So just give me a line there. And there it was.
Oh,
and there it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whew. They called him Hammer and Hank for a reason. Welcome back to Cubs 360. Presented by Miller Lite. Now, Henry Aaron, he passed Babe Ruth to become number one on the all-time home run list 46 years ago today. Barry Bonds, of course, eventually would pass Aaron. So what did we do? Well, we stacked them up with their career home runs and 162 game averages against some of the fiercest sluggers in the game today. Now, Albert Pujols, 40 years young, he leads all current active players with 656 long balls. And there's a look at 30-year-old Giancarlo Stanton, 28-year-old Mike Trout, and 27-year-old Aaron Judge. These guys all stacking up when it comes to those long ball numbers. So back here with the gang, Bruce, Taylor, and Matt. And as we toast Hammer and Hank, that would get us today to our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day, because the all-time home run mark now is 762. That's set by Barry Lamar Bonds. Will it ever be broken, especially when you take a look at how PED testing has been implemented and the current climate of baseball? Bruce, what do you think?
Well, you said it right. I mean, I still count Aaron's 755 as a home run record because Barry had some help. Allegedly he had help. And allegedly, what's not alleged is the fact that he had 258 home runs from 35 to 39 and added a few more. He had 322 home runs after age 35. So, when guys were getting worse and slowing down, he was getting better. I don't see this record ever being broken. Pujols is still going to play for a couple of years. He's going to come close to maybe 700. But this is an unbreakable record, especially with the amount of money in the game, the fact that players are looking to cut back playing time, not playing 160 anymore, looking at, less time on the field. Trout, if he stayed healthy for a long time. But think about this. Averaging 40 home runs for 20 years is just about what you have to do.
It's amazing that we go down to number 12 on the active list, Mike Trout at 285, and that's the one that feels the most plausible because he's only 28 years old. You're talking about needing that kind of longevity ahead of you. I understand what Bruce is saying, but I would not call it unbreakable because, yes, the peak of a career has been better established by the PED testing, but it's also starting a lot sooner. So Chris Bryant got to the bigs pretty darn fast. Mike Trout got to the bigs pretty darn fast. So it starts earlier. Whoever does break this, assuming it does get broken, will have some stigma. It won't be as bad as Bonds with the straight up PEDs, but people will talk about the bouncy baseball and expansion that has watered down the pitching pool and bandbox rosters and things like that. But I do think it will be broken by one of those 20-somethings, Trout, Judge, somebody like that.
Well, Matt, I hope whoever breaks it gets some sort of plaque and a location set into where that ball dropped when it was hit. Because when I was in Milwaukee, I had the chance to go check out where Hank Aaron's 755th homer landed. It's in the parking lot at Miller Field. And I remember just standing there in absolute awe, thinking about what it took to get there. I mean, I thought about, Bruce, you mentioned 40 homers a year. I was thinking 50 homers a year and how long it would still take at 50 homers a year to get there. I mean, you're talking 15 years, 16 really, because of you would need 5 the following year. And it's just a remarkable feat. I think with the juiced ball, there was more conversations this year than ever before of, okay, maybe somebody could get there if we continue on this home run trajectory that we've seen in Major League Baseball. But when you think about a Hall of Famer and you think about a really good baseball player, it's overcoming the test of time. And what not Barry Bonds, well, him too, but what Hank Aaron did, 23 years in the major leagues to accomplish that feat. It's remarkable, this consistency and the period of time that he did it. I don't know if it'll ever be broken, but I tell you what, if it does get broken, I want to see a plaque like Hank Aaron has.
And it's crazy to think that Henry Aaron never hit over 50 home runs in a single season, and a lot of other people have done so and done so plenty of times. But when it comes to unbreakable records in Major League Baseball, Matt, do you think that 762 or 755 is the most unbreakable one out there?
Oh, boy, I think the hitting streak, 56-game hitting streak for DiMaggio has proved to be unbelievable in terms of standing up to the tests of time. How about Nolan Ryan's strikeout record? I mean, where he has now put that one is absurd, even in an era where strikeouts come as often as they do. And I think with the state of the pitcher's win and the way that starters are being used, I'll take Cy Young's 511 wins. So maybe that's the most unbreakable of all.
Well, I'm with you a little bit on those records. I still think that the record that was broken and that everyone said was totally unbreakable was Cal Ripken's, and we celebrate that again every year. And to think that that record is out there, and knowing how few players play complete seasons now, I think that's back to being the unbreakable record. That was always considered unbreakable until he broke it. And went way past Lou Gehrig. But for me, that one in this modern era where people are playing baseball just a little bit less and nobody wants their players to play every game, I think that's back to being right on the top.
Well, I see your Cal Ripken and Cy Youngs, and I raise you a Ricky Henderson, 1,406 stolen bases. And by the way, no one even has 1,000. No one even has 1,000 to put that in perspective. Now, still to come here on Cubs 360. When it comes to depth for the Cubs in 2020, Nico Horner, he could add plenty. How the Cubs could benefit from those expanded rosters, that and much more next, right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite.
Good job, you guys there. Good stuff, Matt.
Thanks, Malik.
I have to take Ricky Henderson as the most unbreakable.
That's
Hey,
strong.
what about
That's
the
very
record
strong.
of no rainouts at Dodger Stadium? Does that count as some sort of record?
Yeah, but I mean that's
That might never
not an end. That's unbelievable. That'll never be broken. That's unreal.
I'm looking up Nolan's strikeouts. He's like thousands ahead, isn't he?
5,000. I mean, does anyone even have 4,000, or does like Burt Blyleven have like 4,100?
Carlton has 4,000. He has
Does he?
5,000. That's it. Nobody.
Yeah, Carlton's not coming back.
No.
Ryan.
I mean, Nolan Ryan played for what, 27 seasons?
Yeah.
7 no-hitters?
Yeah.
Oh,
And 7 one-hitters, right? Or 9, something like that.
What did they say? Pedro has 18 one-hitters? No-hitters?
Say what?
No, really?
18
Pedro
what?
Martinez?
18 what?
18 one-hitters?
Doesn't sound right.
Maybe I'm off on
Pretty
that.
daunting.
I thought that was what a stat that I heard.
You could be
Randy
off a little
Johnson
bit,
got
Cole.
to 4,800.
What's that?
Said you could be off a little bit there.
What is the? I could be. I don't know. I just didn't. I just
I
thought
don't know.
that's what I heard.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with All right, you guys. So this segment, we're talking expanded rosters. Cole's going to tee up the story. It's going to be video of Nico Horner. So that could be a good place to start. We'll start with Matt here, Cole. Okay. So we got about 3.5 for this segment, you guys. So maybe only have time to hear from each of you once. So we'll see. But, just do your thing and I'll dictate the conversation. But let's go Matt, Taylor, and then Bruce here. You good, Kevin Riley? And Kevin Dusold, all good?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
All good.
All right, here we go, Cole. 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, back with you here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite and Nico Horner. How about this youngster? Very impactful last September as Javi's understudy. He chipped in quite nicely, found himself end of the year with 17 RBI. Now, only 6 players had more from September 9th. That was the day he was called up through the end of the season. So back here with the gang, Bruce, Taylor, and Matt. And guys, when baseball returns, there's a high likelihood that the rosters will be expanded. Some say it'll move from 26 all the way to 29. And this will really give guys like Nico and Ian Miller and Josh Fegley a chance to sign. So, Matt, what do you think? Who's going to benefit the most from this reported baseball expansion?
Well, if minors, might as well keep Nico Horner here to play, right? That's one of them, as you mentioned. First guy I thought of, though, was Ian Miller. That's a sorely needed speed element. We know that Theo Epstein has enjoyed that speed guy, like whether it's the 26th man for a wild card game or a September call up just to be a base stealer. Josh Fegley is a big league caliber backup catcher. And I think having 3 would be nice for David Ross. He's said that he likes that before. And Victor Caratini and Wilson Contreras can both play elsewhere as well. But all those bullpen options, there were so many guys, whether it's Dakota Meckes or Dan Sinker, some of these guys that they were looking at. This gives them more time to evaluate some of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see what the choices would be.
Matt, I'm 100% with you on the bullpen, because essentially what we saw with the Cubs in the past year, really this spring training, is the idea behind the bullpen was kind of throwing it all on the wall and seeing what sticks. And there was some guys in camp this year who had really great seasons even last year. I mean, I think about Colin Ray, PCL pitcher of the year. He didn't have an incredibly strong spring, but he could be somebody who benefits from the chance to play in the big leagues this year, depending upon what happens. And then I also think about Jason Adam. He had a pretty strong year last year with Toronto. Again, didn't have a great spring. He can benefit from that. So there are a lot of moving parts in the bullpen out there that I think could really benefit from this expanded roster. And I think the Cubs also kind of continuing to create what they want out of that pen. It could be huge for them this season.
Well, I think it's all about the pitching, and I think the expansion is going to go way beyond 29. I think initially, from all indications, if they're going to shorten up and only give a couple weeks of spring training for these guys, you're not going to have starting pitchers going more than 2 or 3 innings. So from that perspective, it's got to be more pitching, and guys like Adbert Alzolay are going to have a chance to step up their game and be important. Longmen is something that people are going to talk about. They're not going to be swingmen. They're going to be longmen, because you're going to need 2 or 3 of those type of guys to pitch every 2 to 3 days to fortify a rotation that won't be going more than 2 or 3 innings initially. So I think you look to the pitching, look for the rosters to be much higher than 29, at least for the first part of that season, for the first month or so. But like Matt said, I like the idea of Horner playing every day. Kipnis was on his way to making that team as a veteran, but with a shortened season, it's going to be interesting to watch how Epstein and Hoyer handle that roster.
Yeah, we will see how everything
challenge
comes into place.
How about this challenge for David Ross? How about this challenge for David Ross, guys? It's just absurd that they're throwing this, that everything that's getting thrown at him, one after another after another. It's just absolutely insane. It could be the strangest debut season for a manager ever, right?
Yeah, and having this many options, not really a bad thing. So David Ross, I'm sure he's checking a whole bunch of boxes right about now. Now, still to come on Cubs 360, Javi Baez. He's pretty good at almost everything, and you're going to think he's even better when you see what he's up to next right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Stay tuned.
Good job, you guys there. So we just learned something
My
there.
bad.
So as you can see, no, Taylor, you did a good job there. I know your camera. You just keep talking.
Well, yeah,
we
I
can
will.
always fix anything
That was a
in
good
post.
save.
So that was
Okay.
well done. Yeah, that was well. Just keep going.
Okay.
We can always cover that, fix
Okay.
it in post. But I don't know if you
Okay.
saw that, Matt. I had you going
I
next,
did.
and then Bruce kind of kept going and going, and then I wrapped it. So
I didn't
we'll
see
clean it up
I didn't
and
see
edit.
it.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I
get it.
apologize. I'm sorry about that, Malik. I had transitioned to looking at camera, and I didn't see it because I was looking at camera, getting ready to
Right.
go.
Yep. So no need to apologize. Look, we're all learning here, so it's all good. But just something to know that, I am dictating, but it's really fluid. You know what I mean? So when Bruce is expanding on a good point, it just is what it is, and we just got to kind of adjust. So no reason to apologize. Moving on. Good stuff, you guys. All right, but so for this last segment, we're gonna have to be pretty tight here. Let's see here.
Who you want me to go to first?
Give me a second here, Cole. Let me figure something out.
Cool.
So let's go to Taylor here first, then Bruce, and then Matt. So you guys each will have about 20 seconds to react, all right? Just 15 to 20 seconds to react. Cole's going to bring us in with the video of Javi catching his brother-in-law, and then we'll just have a fun little chat about Javi being a Renaissance man on the field, doing a lot of things and so forth. So let's go Taylor, Bruce, and then Matt, okay? About 15, 20 seconds each, okay, you guys?
Got it.
Okay. Ready, Cole?
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back. Now, before we left, we told you that Javi could pretty much do everything, but here's something that he hasn't done in a major league game. That's get behind the plate, put on those tools of ignorance. Now, we helped a twin starter, Jose Barrios, who, oh, by the way, just so happens to be his brother-in-law. So as they say, happy wife, happy life. Back here with Bruce, Taylor, and Matt. We're about to turn the lights on right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. And guys, we've seen Javi do it all. And Taylor, what can this guy not do? I mean, he's unbelievable.
I don't understand how he makes everything look so easy. I mean, we see it every single day, the way he plays shortstop, and he makes these incredibly difficult plays look so easy. And that's what I thought when watching this video. I mean, what that guy throws there, he's not easy to catch. And Javi, some way, just makes it look like it's routine. And that's what continues to amaze me every single time I watch that guy do anything baseball related.
Yeah, adhering to the 6-foot rule, I would prefer Javi to do that with a batter in the box. But nonetheless, who's more fun than Javier Baez? And what gets people smiling more than seeing one of the most energized players in the game of baseball out there playing baseball, even if it is catching his brother-in-law? I love it. I think everybody else loves the idea of guys being out there on the field.
See, some athletes just have that grace that anything they do looks smooth. It's like seeing Jordan steal a base back in the 90s, right? But did you see Javi got one knee going down on the turf? He would instantly become the most athletic, most fun catcher since who? Tony Pena, Benito Santiago. I can imagine one leg getting splayed out wide. So fun to watch Javi do absolutely anything on a baseball field.
Yeah, El Mago, he's like a 2020 version of Mark McLemore, except he's just a little bit better. No disrespect to Mark McLemore. That's going to do it on Cubs 360 here today. So for everyone here at the Marquee Network, that includes Bruce, Taylor, and Matt, I'm Cole Wright. We'll see you next time.